Hi, I'm Dana Durford from the nuclearproctologist.org. I'm doing an expedition for life along the coastline of British Columbia. So far, we have got 23 days on the beaches. On the 23rd day, rather, we got blown off the beaches, was yesterday. And we are finding out that there is significant and serious and long-term impacts, and economically and socially, and in the communities itself, already showing up 3.5 years after March 11, 2011's devastation in Japan. Japan had a earthquake. It was over 9 on the scale. This is extraordinary. We've never seen one of these in our lifetimes. There was also a 500 miles of coastline, rather, destroyed by a tsunami. This caused allegedly a meltdown and detonations. I said allegedly because we think the earthquake might have caused it, but the tsunami could have certainly done it. It doesn't really matter at that stage. Fukushima's reactors are 100% meltdowns. We have never seen anything like this on our planet before. This is 3 reactors are melted down. That's unit 3 you're looking at. That's considered 2 million times worse than any other reactor on the planet. And Chernobyl, in comparison, was 1/3 the size and was a 30% meltdown. Chernobyl was graphite. Chernobyl brought in 600,000 conscripted soldiers who had educations and were trained to do certain jobs, and 400,000 tradespeople that were trained to do jobs. And they were given short doses, originally about 15 seconds apiece, 20 seconds apiece, and then they went home. In Fukushima, Daiichi's military industrial complexes masquerading as a nuclear power plant, the reactors there were filled with MOX and plutonium, very deadly stuff, and only the homeless are allowed in there. I'm just going to give you some headlines so you can actually have some context of what we're talking about. The fuel itself, and we'll go back one, the fuel itself was ejected completely from the reactors. Each reactor had 3,450 spent fuel assemblies. Each assembly was around 80 rods. Each rod was around 18 pounds. And a gram of it, all of that was atomized in aerosol, but a gram of it produces more elements, radioactive atoms, and the isotope is in the atoms, than all the grains of sands on all the beaches on the planet, a single gram. And we're talking about 280,000 rods in each reactor's core. And I didn't flip you over. I did flip you over. In each reactor core. And so the spent fuel pools on top of the buildings, let me come back to that for you so you can really understand what I'm talking about here and the significance of it. The spent fuel pool on the top of the buildings. Now, it's missing obviously on Unit 3. Well, each those spent fuel pools would have had multiple cores, the coriums from the reactors, the 3,450 assemblies with 80 rods in each assembly that are 12 feet long and 18 pounds each. And so if you divide all of that, just a single one, by grams, and then you multiply it by all the grains of sands on the beaches on the planet, you can understand why there's going to be such a significant impact in the very near future, because it was atomized aerosol and melted down from multiple reactors at Fukushima. And let me come back to the desktop presenter, wherever that may be. I think that's it there. And I'm just going to give you some headlines so you can understand that within 1 day there was a complete meltdown and melt-through occurred. There's no way the government didn't know it, but they kept it secret from you for a long time after. The walls are cracked below the ground at the Fukushima reactor buildings. The earthquake picked the buildings up and dropped them and broke their backs. And so all the water they're pouring in there is also pouring straight out those cracks. And the water from the mountain and water from the flooding and from the liquefaction on the site is seeping through and gathering up radioactive fissionable products and elements, and is distributing that in gammas bursts and alpha bursts. And you got to realize the significance of what we're actually talking about. You know, it's got nothing to do with bananas, and it's got nothing to do with potato chips. These elements are not created by the sun. You won't find these elements on the moon. You won't find them on the periodic table. They were introduced as man-made elements. And then for the last 70 years, your academics who work hand in hand with these corporations have lied to you repeatedly and told you that they're like bananas, they're like potato chips, as I've flushed out on this site many times, and that they're benign and innocuous and that they're harmless to everything and everybody, and that they're just like normal background radiation, to the point now where it enrages me to hear it anymore, because they got nothing to do with it. They told you that to lie to you, to trick you, to deceive you, to fool you, to manipulate you, to mold you, to have a divide amongst us, to get you to argue with me and say, no, a professor said that is like a banana, Dana. Well, it's actually not. That's why they have nuclear waste sites. That's why they have nuclear laws. That's why they have all these terrorists and these Patriot Acts trying to get hold of some of the materials. Just a little bit of the material, make a dirty bomb and make your city inhabitable, which is just a way of keeping you in fear. They go down in Iraq and Afghanistan, and they fire the dirty bombs into those countries at the rate of over 2 million a year from McAllister, Oklahoma's bomb manufacturing facility. That's all they make, is dirty bombs. All the Warthog shoots out of it, the A-10 Warthog, it only shoots dirty bombs. The Abrams tank, it shoots 10 pounds of uranium-238 left over from the nuclear production. This is crimes. You can't turn these weapons off after the war is over. These are war crimes, crimes against humanity, and an ecocide, against society, genocide. You know, this is an attack upon all species, all 8.8 million species on the planet. This is not a game. It's the real thing. It's hemorrhaging into our ocean. It's completely different than nuclear weapon testing. It's completely different. It's hemorrhaging in there all day, every day, from detonated reactors, from the cores being sprayed all over the site. Yes, the nuclear testing, make no mistake about it, the radioactive fallout from that was terrible. It's still felt today. It's still seen today. Think about Chernobyl. When Chernobyl went down, they couldn't eat the goats. They couldn't drink the milk from the cows. They couldn't eat the cows. They couldn't eat stuff out of the fields for almost 20 years because of the radioactive fallout. Just from a 1/3 meltdown, just from a 30% meltdown, 1/3 the size of the reactors at Fukushima, was felt so far away in the UK. Kofi Annan in 2001 was over 3 million children in Ukraine permanently disabled from from Chernobyl's radiation, permanently. Molten fuel may have melted through everything. The headlines are extraordinary. Government papers, this was September 8, 2011, showed a meltdown of Fukushima was predicted on the day of the quake. So, we flushed this out with 9,000 headlines. And you got to think about why they lied about, why they equated with bananas, why they equated with potato chips, why they equated with walking in sunshine, why they equated with insignificant, indigenous, stupid, everyday background, harmless radiation, to fool you, to literally fool you. And that's why Jay Cullen at the University of Victoria and Ken Buesler, Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, are out there telling you that's those same words, that it's harmless. That's why Jay Cullen, the University of Victoria, a professor, was up on CBC at the end of 2013, and I flushed that out on Beautiful Girl by Dana's site on YouTube, that if there was a meltdown at Fukushima, it would be different. This is what he said to the Canadians. And now he's got a grant to go around to all the communities and tell them that it's like bananas, like potato chips. This is an absolute crime against humanity. They can't hide this much longer. We are going around the coastline, and we have probably taken 15,000 pictures so far, of the tidal pools, of the very nursery of the ocean. Why do scientists look at tuna? Why do scientists look at whales? Why do scientists look at these great big mammals when the most obvious thing you would look at would be the microscopic and the tiny creatures in the coastline and in the nursery of the ocean and your tidal pools at the filter feeders? Why wouldn't you look at them first? Why would you look at the big mammals that it takes years to affect them, years and years to affect them? Why wouldn't you look at the nursery of the ocean? Because the evidence was overwhelming that the shells were washed away quite a long time ago. There's no carcasses left. I can't get the DNA of anything, only a handful of species on the coastline of British Columbia. It's inconceivable. And you can't have it here without having it out throughout the Pacific Rim. And Zoe snoring in the background. Worse than a melter will melt out. July 8, 2011. Plant operators trying to find the nuclear cores. December 10, 2011. All the fuel is melted through, much of it into the containment vessels. This stuff burnt at 9,000 degree Fahrenheit temperatures. This is almost twice as hot as the sun, because it's a completely different reaction than what the sun does. This is a total fabrication of everything they've ever told us. It's everything they've ever put out there, every documentary they've ever made. Turns out to be a total fabrication and a lie, and a way to indoctrinate you and then update you with the propaganda machine of walking in sunshine, of bananas, of potato chips. Do you got any idea how twisted the people are to say that they actually have an education and know the difference? And how media can't even rationalize it enough to debate them and say, hey, actually, a banana is potassium 40. It's homeostasis. It's your body regulates it, like a car regulates your speed on cruise control, or like the thermostat in your house regulates the temperature in your house. How can you confuse one with the other? You can't. Their job is to come out and lie to you, manipulate you, and deceive you. That's their job. And for them to come out and tell you the truth would mean everything they've ever said is a lie. And there's no pensions in that, so they can never tell you the truth. You have to take the words that I told you and look at it for what I'm telling you is the truth. Why would I lie and say a banana got nothing to do with E equals MC squared? Why would I lie and say potato chips got nothing to do with E equals MC squared? And why would they lie and say it does? Because they know it don't. And they know how bad it is. And their job is, that's all their job is, to be evil, to come out and lie to you and deceive you and dress up nice and try to fool you. And that's what they've done to you. And look what that got us. This got us to the ocean is literally on its last legs. How can it survive when you can't even stop Fukushima? How can it survive when you're going to deny all these headlines? Worst case scenario is China syndrome. China syndrome, if that's all we had to worry about. We're talking about 3 melted reactors. Number 4 is completely annihilated. It's completely destroyed. There's nothing left in it. The headlines are endless. Look at the headlines for Fukushima. Worker had a heart attack while working at reactor 1, only 31 years old. Radiation on Fukushima near levels where humans vomit uncontrollably, and hair can be stripped from your body. Hair stripped from your body. How many coal mines would do that to you? Why is this stuff on our planet when we can't contain it? Why is it that every waste facility vents its radiation into your community? And they tell you they don't. That's why you can't get down and whip. You had a detonation because one of the containers wasn't vented. And the noble gases built up and it detonated, and you can't get back down there because everything is covered in radiation. And they lied to you about that endlessly. The releases, they said, was like a banana. That was from the University Professor John Neal from the University of Oklahoma. You look up Dr. Raymond Gilmedy on my site, or look him up and look up 84 of his studies on beagle dogs, where 70% of the dogs would die of cancers and leukemias and autoimmune deficiencies within 4 years of ingesting plutonium-241. Nuclear nuke cloud crisis. You're talking there about 30,000 miles of the country that they're emitting to is radioactive from the clouds rolling through and depositing the disposition upon everything. 2 high school students died in the same school at once. Japanese discuss personal health problems. On one street since Fukushima, 7 people died on a shopping street in Fukushima. 7 people died on a shopping street. But they managed to say, oh no, he died of a heart attack. Oh no, he died of a seizure. Oh no, she died of being too happy to be in Fukushima trying to make it work for him. She just sacrificed him like they done with the beagles. Where Dr. Raymond Gilmedy done it for 35 years, killed beagles by making them ingesting radioactive particles. But they don't bring him out in context. Why do the system report on iodine-131 when there was 31 times more iodine-129 with a 15 million year half-life? Why do they have a nuclear waste site for if this stuff is like bananas and potato chips? Why do they have a nuclear waste site every 50 miles in the United States? It was like potato chips and it's harmless. Why do they need so much money if it's harmless? Why not use potato chips and potatoes and bananas and walking in sunshine routine? Another Fukushima worker collapsed. What was that other headline? They hear the ambulances at the plant in Fukushima 2011 10 times a day. because the site detonated. Right? You got to think about what actually happened here. The site detonated, and through these particles and these atoms and pieces of the rods that are emitting the neutrons and the X-rays, and it turns out because of the MOX fuel, the elements are emitting neutrons and X-rays plus the gammas and the betas and the alphas. It's unimaginable. The rods that were used in the reactors are from silos. And so they're already unstable. They already went through the chain reaction. They already got all kinds of cracks into it. And so you don't need that kind of material to make energy. You need that to make directed energy weapons, isotopes. So these detonated, and that went all over the site and sank down into the topsoil. And every time it rains, like these typhoons, is liberating all of this stuff. The reason the elements are bad is because a Becquerel can flip over a grain of sand. Think about that. But it can do that for 1 billion years. That's energy. And so even though you can fit 1 million of them on the top of a head of a needle and not see them, if you get any of them in you, even a single one, you'll get an autoimmune reflex to it, and your body will attack it with white blood cells. And that will go on for infinity. And so you'll displace oxygen molecules in your blood and replace it with the white blood cells. Because that's how it works. And you become lethargic, you become lazy with lack of oxygen. And as this consumes the phytoplankton in the ocean, you get less oxygen in our environment. This is completely annihilates the phytoplankton, the very basis of the food chain of the ocean. We're in so much trouble, it's unimaginable. And Fukushima has not stopped. Nobody's trying to have a debate about it. You see that reactor there? That's 100% meltdown. That's 100%. And it's gone. The fuel pool is missing on the top of it. It's missing. That was atomized and aerosoled. Just one of these is a killer for all life on the planet. But it takes time. But who could imagine in 3.5 years that we would annihilate the entire coastline of Canada and most likely every other country on the Pacific Rim nations? How can it not be? How can you have 75 to 100 million phytoplankton in a glass of seawater? 75 to 100 million and 1 billion other creatures in that glass of salt water. And a reactor boils 1 million gallons a minute and kills everything in there, all the eggs, all the larvae, and all those creatures. And the 75 to 100 million phytoplankton are the basis of the food chain. So by default, reactors are horrible things. But yet you go down on the beach and flip over a rock and they'll arrest you, take you to court and charge you big monies. But that reactor right alongside of it is boiling 4 million gallons. And you divide that up by cups, and you think about the numbers of creature it kills every minute. Every minute, 1 million gallons a minute. Every reactor is a boiling water reactor, and it sterilizes your water. It kills all the creatures, kills all the bacteria, kills all the life in the water itself. But the radiation, if I dropped an isotope in this glass of water with 75 or 100 million phytoplankton to it, it would fry them. The same way it flips over a grain of sand with each disintegration. But some of these elements can put out hundreds of becquerels at a time. Because the MOX fuel, because of it already went through a chain reaction, it was already 2 million times worse than any other element on this planet. It was already different than every other element on the planet, and nothing on the planet is acclimated to live in proximity to it. Let me keep going. Make sure I got me sorted out here. Birds are unable to fly, allows humans to approach them, like the seals and the sea lions on the coastline. Top doctor in Tokyo dealing with the nuclear workers demand government step in, plan for safety reasons. There was over 10,000 workers, or 5,000 workers with 10,000 counts a minute in their body. They're dead men walking. Underage people with fake documents employed because they don't know any better. Cesium-137 immediately damages the heart muscle. It's not slow acting. That's why you see all these heart attacks. That's why you see all these strokes. That's why you see this accelerated amount of it. Because of that. And there's so many people died at that. 40% of the Fukushima visitors showed internal exposure to radiation. Now, they're burning this stuff in the incinerators, and that's liberating and it's floating over here. Let me see what else have I got for you. Japanese Time, fear of marine life is being poisoned by material. Why would he say that? Why would they say that at AFP on July 22nd, 2013? now emits radioactive water entering the sea. 2013, TEPCO emits it. Fear of marine life is being poisoned. Experts warn of festering radioactive source contaminating the food chain. This thing is hemorrhaging into our ocean all day. The ocean at 131 days will cross the Pacific at 2 miles an hour. The Kuroshio current travels up to 5 miles an hour. The jet streams can do it in 3 days. It hemorrhaged into the jet streams right up until November for 8 months. More Fukushima nuclear pollution hit the U.S. Right, impact strength of Cesium-137. Well, there's 100 times more strontium-90. You got to think about how that works. You can't have one element without all the other ones on top of that. The lethal threat from Fukushima, highly radioactive water flowing into the Pacific Ocean, is a threat to all life. The Times, August the 5th, 2013. That's why we're on the ocean. This is real. There really is 3 melted reactors. There really is number 4 is disappeared. That's confirmed. People are still fighting about how many fuel rods you took out. I really don't care. There's 3 melted reactors. We've never seen that on this planet, and we have no way of stopping it. We're not even trying. We don't even know how to contain it. Fukushima Daiichi has contaminated the biggest body of water on the planet, period. Bar nothing. That's why I'm on the ocean every day. That's why everybody is supporting me. That's why all I'm doing is taking pictures of the most vulnerable part of the ocean, the tidal pool and nursery. I'm not a bad person for doing that. That gives everybody on the planet an opportunity to go look at it themselves. How can you ask for any better than that? You have no concept of what I go through every day to do this. You have no concept of the conditions I have to live in to do this. You have no concept of the sacrifices that people made so we can do this. And the sacrifices I made to make sure that their sacrifices are not in vain. I can guarantee you they're not in vain. And that's all I'm asking is the opportunity, and I got it, and I'm not letting anybody down. I went out every day by myself while the crew went home. I don't miss a beat. Right now the boat is in the shop. I'm getting an estimate at the welder's shop. I put her in there this morning. It freaks me out that I got to go do this, but I got to put a front on that boat. So I'm getting an estimate on 7 windows, 3 in the front with a door in the middle, and it's not going to be cheap. And it has to be done. We have to do this. We have to raise the money for that. It's just too dangerous what we're doing. We can't see what we're doing in 40, 50, and gusts at 60, which is regular. And it's going to get worse as I go up this coastline. And we need shelter. We just can't do it without shelter. We're being pounded. And not only took out my windshield yesterday morning, I took out my searchlight too. I snapped it to pieces. But that's the price you got to pay to get the data. It's no good going out and playing around on the shoreline. You got to go out and get out there where life is. And to do that, somebody has to go do it. And somebody has to sacrifice. And we don't take chances. We really don't. We have a highball operation. And we have to put a front on that, and we have to put 4 feet on the sides of it to protect us from these elements and from this weather, from these unbelievable amounts of rainfall up here in the rainforest and the west coast of British Columbia, the top of it, as we head up into the 26,000 islands. You know, that's the edit all of this. That's the hardest part for me, is I have to ask people, but there's no other option for me, and there's no way I can turn back and say it can't be done, because it has to be done. It's fatiguing to get out there and get hammered by 40, 50, 60 kilometer hour hardcore rain, and you have to beat your way through this. It's blinding to get all that in your face. We need protection from these nuclides. We need protection from these elements. And so, like, I'm asking for a lot every time I try this, and so far it's only because we have to have it. You know, like that video I put up yesterday, that really doesn't tell you much, but it gives you some context of how difficult it is, and how scary it can be, and how pertinent it is that we get the job done. And, you know, it's shocking that we have to spend this kind of money for this one-off trip. But, I mean, you know, I'll keep going through the winter, and then in the spring it's off to the Northwest Territory. We got no options. There's no shortcut here. Everything has to be methodically done. And so I need people to step up. And you can contact me at danadurnford@hotmail.com. That's my official Hotmail, or you can call me at 604-223-1075. And we're probably going to need $3,000, $3,500. We need real windows. We can't have garbage windows. We need windshield wipers on this thing to make it work. The door has to be secure. You know, there's no way around this. I'm having this no matter what. And whatever the sacrifice is I got to make, but we got to have this to finish this trip off through the winter. And by rights, I need that whole cabin enclosed in. It'll be twice as much money. And I'm not asking for that. I'm asking for just the front, so we don't take that beating and we give that stability to the frame, to the cabin, to the roof that we got. Because that roof took a huge beating yesterday. We smashed it up really bad. And so I got to get this done. And so, once again, you know, I have to ask. And I'll move on right now, but once again, I have to ask. I got no options, and we have to get this done to continue. It's just too much for me to do it like this, or anybody else. And this will solve those problems. This will give us the shelter. And in a bad case, we can tie onto a tree and drop our stern anchor, and we can hang into the wind, and we got that shelter, and we can sit it out. The other way, we can still do that, but it's going to be pretty friggin' miserable. It's miserable as it is now. We're into the winter weather, the fall weather. It's really nasty stuff. And so let me keep going. I got an opportunity to go upload more footage. And the ocean is really, truly, let me come back over to that. What you really got to wrap your mind around, that the biggest body of water, Radio New Zealand, everybody knows it. Pacific Ocean likely have cesium levels 5 to 10 higher than at the peak of the nuclear bomb testing. Nuclear bomb testing is completely different. It's completely different. Let me double check. It's completely different, I mean about the screen, than a melting reactor hemorrhaging into the ocean, pouring water over it, and originally they poured this salt water on it, this sulfur peroxide, hydrogen, sulfur, buckyballs, these urethol, spherical shapes that ingest elements and particles, and think of particles as I-beams falling in aquariums and getting atomized, because rocks and parts of the buildings that fall down on a melted reactor, they become ionized. The water becomes ionized and becomes elements, becomes particles, and is liberated and aerosoled and atomized and put up into our environment at 1/10,000th of a millionth of a meter. These are so small. These are smaller than the dust floating around your house after you clean the spotless on a sunny day. You know you can't clean it up. It's 1,000 times smaller than that. But if you ingest it, and you did, and so did all the creatures and animals on this planet. And it's not us. It's 8.8 million other species on this planet that we are the stewards of. That we are obligated to. Is it our obligation? You are obligated as a society to do the right moral and ethical thing. And we are lacking that dramatically. And there is no way to reconcile why they done that outside of that. They done it. They lied about radiation, equated with potato chips and bananas and everything else, and walking in the sunshine to deceive you. And that's why they have done that for 70 years, and that's why they always say the same thing. For them to admit, you know, what Dr. Gilmedi's studies, the implications of killing all those beagles for 50 years and doggies and puppies by ingesting americium and plutoniums, in just tiny amounts would kill the dogs. 70% of them with cancers and leukemias. And these are models for humans. And these studies are there's 84 of those studies. I covered them quite a while back. This is not a game. This is real. And the people that can't grasp this, you know, that's why I'm here every day. That's why we do what we do. We do because we know it's so hard to reach out to people. We know it's so hard for them to digest it that we try hundreds of ways to make it palatable for people so they can have a jump-off point to learn. And that's what the nuclearproctologist.org is all about. That's why that site, when you go there, you go up to the top right-hand corner of the page, and you see sections. And click on that, and you'll see oceans. There's 500 or 600 headlines. I haven't got everything up there by any stretch. We only had a few days to put the site together and get the material up there. And I cherry-picked top headlines just to get you started, to give you a direction. But it would take you 6 hours just to read the headline like you see here. In context, in chronological order. But by the time you read those 6 hours of headlines on just one subject that I got there for you, on Canada, on the United States, on California, on the Pacific Ocean, on the jet streams, on heart attacks, on radiation sicknesses, on nuclear accidents, on Chernobyl, on Japan. Why do you think I put so much work and time and energy and effort into everything? And why do you think I do the things I do now? Why do you think I'm so adamant that the reactors really did melt down? That the jet streams really truly are real? And that the ocean, they're hemorrhaging into the ocean non-stop? Because when you poured all that salt water on it, you destroyed any integrity that was left anyway. And the Wigner effect from radiation will destroy the molecules of the structure itself anyway. And earthquakes will just make that even worse with just tremors, let alone being on fault lines where there's 1,000 to 5,000 of these tremors and earthquakes a year. How much longer do you think these buildings can sustain themselves? The piece they built over Unit 4 doesn't touch Unit 4. They're supposed to put a crane in it. That's the fable. They don't got no crane in it. They can't get inside these buildings for a reason. It's because the reactors melted down, they detonated, they blew up. I showed you those pictures. We have those pictures up on a nuclear proctologist from TEPCO's website. You'll find links below. You can download a couple of thousand of the pictures from TEPCO's website yourself. Make up your own mind. Go through to my headlines. They're all from mainstream media, ABC right there. Why do you think all the people out there, why do you think like people like Kevin Blanche, Thomas Ackerman, Radchick, Miss Milky, and New Brew Magic 2012, why do you think they're always so straight up? Why do you think they're always so honest? Why do you think they're never opinionated? Why do you think they always overwhelm you with the pure facts only? And all these other people, like Pink, Sapphire, she doesn't put nothing else in it. She just reads you the headline, gives you an opportunity to find it that way and listen to it without having to try, just to try to get you to listen. Why do they put it in the nuclear waste if there's no site, if there's no issue? Why do these people why did all those doggies that Dr. Raymond Gilmedy at Loveless in New Mexico, why did they all die of leukemias and cancer? If it's harmless, if it's innocuous, or if it's not an issue, like walking in the sunshine or bananas or potato chips. Why don't I die? Because that was the lie, and they can't turn that back. But they need someone like us to roll it out for them, because they went too far this time. And the machine cannot stop itself. You have to put something in there and break something first. And they have went too far. They're not even trying to stop Fukushima. They're not even trying. They don't even care. All they want to do is keep you lying and attack people like me and everybody else. And there's so many great people below and so much information below this video. Canada report. Fukushima ocean plume hit Canada 6 months ago, 2013. The ocean at 2 miles an hour will hit the coastline in 131 days. It travels faster than that. Every day, 1,440 minutes a day, there's 1,440 plumes going into the ocean. From that entire site is one big radioactive wasteland where it's just hemorrhaging through the soil, through the physical products that have sunk down in the soil from the detonations. Right, you got to realize the detonations really did happen. They really did throw nuclear rods and aerosol and atomized and destroyed everything good about this planet. There's nothing good left about nuclear. There's no such thing as good nuclear. They can't contain it. They don't even try. They've been dumping it into the ocean and firing it into impoverished people's countries since they got their hands on it. It's a sickness. It's a demented, it's like dementia. All nuclear scientists have dementia. They get up. The reason they got a job at a university is because they're really good lawyers. They're really good PR firms. That's what they are. That's what a nuclear scientist, an academic at your institutions is. They're a PR firm for the nuclear industry. They're not there to tell you it's not like a banana. They're not there to tell you it's not like walking in the sunshine. They're not there to tell you it's not like natural background radiation. They're there to tell you it is. And it ain't. It never was. It never will be. That's why there's nuclear waste sites. That's why they always bawl about dirty bombs. Yet they fire millions of dirty bombs every month in Iraq. You've got to think about what life is like. We went down and you created 5 million orphans in Afghanistan to get 11,000 Taliban. To get 11,000. You create 5 million orphans. You put millions in refugee camps to get 11,000 Taliban. You got millions missing to get 11,000 Taliban. You got millions dead to get 11,000 Taliban. You've got 22 veterans committing suicide, 80,000 in the last decade to get 11,000 Taliban. And they still shove it down your throat. There's a couple of hundred Taliban left. We might have to go over and bomb that country for another couple of years. There's 50,000 gangbangers down in Vancouver. They're doing the exact same thing as the Taliban done. They're just as big as terrorists as them. They don't care about them. They just want to kill. They just want to destroy. And that is the people in your institutions, your universities, your academics. They are the lowest forms of life we know. They are the PR firms that have got us in this position. Your job is to put an end to that. Your job is to find a way forward. Your job is to make sure that the world has an opportunity and that the 8.8 million species, or whatever is left of that, because the ocean is annihilated, has an opportunity. It's time. We have reached a time in history, in society, in evolution, not revolution, but evolution, where it's time to throw off these shackles. It's time to throw down the divides. It's time to throw away the bigotry and the bias and the hatred and the racism. And we're all the same. We all have the same hopes and dreams. It's as simple as that. It don't matter who you are. You should have the same hopes and dreams for your loved ones and for your friends and your families. Simple hopes and simple dreams. And these people are denying you and your loved ones and your children and your future generations an opportunity, and every species on this planet an opportunity, by propagating and burying what's happened at Fukushima and equating it with bananas and potato chips and walking in the sunshine and dental x-rays and chest x-rays, when it's completely different. It's an outright, outrageous assassination upon reality. This fabrication and this machine out there that doesn't correct them, this media that doesn't bother to fact check them, this media that doesn't hold them account, the media that doesn't even question them, lets them say every single time, it's like you'll get more radiation from a banana than you would from any nuclear accident. Even if you stood up alongside of it with your hand in the reactor, it's still no worse than a potato chip. Once again, folks, thank you so much for everything you've done to get us this far. We proved our point. Unfortunately, we got to keep going. That's shocking. That's just terrible that we can't have a debate. And so we'll overwhelm them. That the entire coastline. See, to me, after circling Vancouver Island 460 kilometers long, and seeing the ocean not recede itself, and seeing just handfuls of species no matter where you went, I don't need no more evidence. I knew it the first day I went out in the Zodiac and looked at the coastline that this was wrong and this was bad. And every day it's a nightmare. Every day it's 100% dedicated to getting the job done, to getting the data. And every day of data, no matter how insignificant it might seem to me, I know what it means, what it really truly represents. And it takes away their resolve. It takes away their narrative. It takes away their ability to hide in the shadows. All you got to do is shine a light on these people, and they will wither up and crawl away like snakes. They are the lowest forms of life. They know how to do it really well. The people that are out there, it's easy to know who they are. They're in the media all the time. These are the people that have to answer to society in the very near future. Society will not look kindly on those people. And society will not look kindly in the next year on the people that have made this hard to get out there, that have come out and attacked people for simply going out and documenting the reality of it. These are the most cold-hearted, the most heartless people imaginable. And make no mistake, Jay Cullen and the University of Victoria is right at the top of the people that are attacking me. They're not attacking me with rationality. They won't show their faces. They won't tell you their phone numbers. They won't give you their addresses. They're not like me. They hide away. I got 1,000 videos on my site of me because I don't got nothing to hide from. They got nothing on their sites of them. No one knows who the frig they are because they got something to hide. The people that come out and told you it's like a banana, like a potato chip, will hear all of you soon on this planet. because you can't hide the death of the Pacific Ocean much longer. Life cannot sustain itself if you're not going to stop Fukushima. And even if you stop Fukushima, you still can't save the Pacific Ocean. We need to document it, not only for posterity, but for criminals, courts, trials, and summary executions after. Because what they've done to this planet, what they've done to every species on this planet, is unforgivable. We will never forgive them for what they've done. It can never be done. We can never put this ambiguity, this evilness, I should say, to side. We can never put this to rest. We can never look back and say, well, shit happens. No. They covered it up for 70 years. They pretended it was like a banana for 70 years on purpose because they knew the difference. They pretend that their entire existence, to their friends, to their families, they can never look their children in the eye. They can never look their loved ones in the eye. They'll never be able to look their friends in the eye in the very near future because of what they've done and continue to do. It's not my fault. It's not my fault they have these insecurities, and rightfully so, and because there is no pension for the nuclear industry. You can say it looks pretty now. I can assure you, as this planet wakes up over the next couple of months, and no more than a year, this Ebola fear tactic is not going to pan out for you. You know, it's catching up to you. You went too far. You really, truly did. Okay, folks, for October the 14th, 2014, that's the blog. I'm going to go down and see the welder tomorrow morning. They'll have all the dimensions and an actual price on it. And so I need help to get this done. I need a lot of help to get it done. We're heading off to the Queen Charlotte's on the 18th. So it's either start pulling it off tomorrow, or we're not going to get it done. We're going to have to stay here for another week, because it takes a long time for that money to get in my account. If it goes through Squarespace, if it goes through PayPal, I get it right away. You find me at danadurnford@hotmail.com under PayPal. That's me. Nuclearproctologist.org. And I'm just a nobody. I'm a representation of everybody out there, and everybody that spoke out and continues to speak out. That's all I am. I'm the creation of these people, and they gave me a task, and I accepted that task, and I can assure you that task will get completed. And we're getting better every day. Give me another 10 days, I guarantee you something. This winter, we will put this to rest. And there will be no hiding away from this. It's not my fault. It's not my job. And it was the system's job to come out and do something about this. And it didn't even try. What it done was it lied to you. They told you Cesium-137 is 100 times more strontium-90. They told you iodine-131, there was 10 times more 132. There was 30 times more iodine-133. And there was 31 times more iodine-129 with a 15 million year half-life. So they tell you one, and they stab you to death with the other one, and never tell you. And then they say, oh, it's like a banana. It's like walking in the sunshine. It's like dental x-rays. It's like bananas and potato chips. Hey, we'll see you folks later. I think I'm live here right now. We'll catch everybody later. At least we got a little bit of a stream in the day. Once again, I'll be back tomorrow. I'll share what the results are from the welders. The results from the ocean. I won't be going out for a few days. This has to get done. I need your help. I know you're not going to let me down. You never will. You never have. And we just got to get the job done no matter what. That's life. We got to get it done. And we can't go out and beat the boat up like we did yesterday. We got to get stabilized that roof. That thing was swaying. Everything is snapped on it. We might as well do the job before we get into the real stuff, because this is nothing compared to what's coming at me over the next couple of months. It's really bad up there. But don't worry. We got the operation. It's a highball operation. We will get this done safely and systematically and methodically every friggin' day. If there's a window there and a safe, we're gone. We'll get the data. We'll get back. We always come back. And we'll catch you folks tomorrow. Tomorrow on another video.